Good morning. Today is Thursday, May 9th, 2024. We're here today for a work session. As we start all of our meetings, would we all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Denise Cipollini, would you mind leading us in the pledge?
My pleasure. I pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Denise. Okay, we have one item on for open session today, and that's going to be matters surrounding a special permit for portable trailers at the Riverhead Charter School, 5117 Sound Avenue, Riverhead, and that will be presented by Greg Bergman.
And we do have representatives from the charter school, so I invite them to come up for the discussion as well.
And Judd, this is Alec Bowler from, Alec Kaczynski from Bowler Engineering, and Ray Anklin, the superintendent of the charter school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning. So this is a special permit application seeking approval to locate 3 portable trailer units at the Northville Schoolhouse, located at 5117 Sound Avenue. Just for a little backstory, the town board back in December of 2021 granted a special permit to convert the existing building on that site back to a schoolhouse. So they are now looking to increase student enrollment slightly. They're going from 100, and their current enrollment from their prior site plan is 106 students. They're now showing 154 seats on their site plan. So in order to facilitate the expansion, they're looking to locate 3 temporary trailers behind the existing schoolhouse. I do note that one of the trailers is already there. Unfortunately, being that that was done prior to any kind of site plan approval, they will be required to double their site plan fee if the town board grants a special
It's
permit.
not in use.
I mean, it was still brought to the site. There was improvements done. So I mean, really minimal site improvements to the overall site. They will need to do some regrading behind the building in order to level that area out and facilitate the installation of those trailers. When I was looking at the application, when it first came in, it initially showed 5 trailers. They did not have the required parking on site. They could not facilitate the parking, so they reduced it to 3. 2 of those trailers will be used for classrooms. One of them will be administration and faculty space. So they do have some land banked parking throughout the rear of the site. There is a total, with the land bank parking, they are able to fully meet the parking requirements. One of the requirements of land bank parking is that they do have to file a covenant on the property that in a future finding, if the board finds that the existing parking is not adequate, they would be required to build out that full, I believe it's 54 parking, 52 parking stalls. Beyond that, the increase in student enrollment, if there was the potential for there to be traffic congestion at the site, they have demonstrated on the second sheet of the site plan that I prepared for you, which, Justin, if we can go to sheet 7 on the overhead. There is a large U-shaped driveway that traverses throughout the property. In the event that parents are dropping their kids off or there are additional buses, they can utilize that space as sort of internal queuing so that there would be no vehicles backed out onto Sound Avenue. So beyond the increase in traffic, there was really no other concerns identified during the application, and they are temporary. I believe Ms. Judd said the charter school's lease is up in 6 years. 6 years. So they would be removed at that time.
So that's my temporary is 6 years in your eyes? That
So-
seems more of a permanent structure. That's a long time.
So there's no permanent foundations. They are installed on like a crushed gravel base. So they can be removed. There are no permanent fixtures. They are anchored to the ground, but they can be removed rather easily. They will need to get building permits. They will need fire marshal permits. I did get a comment letter from the fire marshal. They do just need to provide emergency access that could be facilitated along the west side of the building. And that access will get them to within 150 feet of all the structures per the New York State Fire Code.
I just like to add, I think the board is well aware that the charter school is looking for bigger space. Right now, classrooms are pretty crowded. It's only hurting the kids that they can't go into a temporary portable situation. We have a couple property leads that we're actively working on and trying to secure. So the lease is up in 6 years. We're not the property owner. And it is the charter school's intention to find a property big enough to accommodate what they would like to do. They don't like shuttling kids back and forth to different areas, trying to accommodate them in classroom space. It's not good for the teachers. It's not good for the students. And as Mr. Bergman said, this is a temporary situation. We could propose an addition onto the building, which is something that we thought about doing, but it's not our building. It's
But why not just hold your enrollment to the numbers that you're currently allowed in that facility and not go outside? Why, you know? I'm not a fan of going outside. I think aesthetically they're terrible looking. I don't think it's good for students. My kids went to Riverhead School District and they were in and out in the rain and all the days going out to the trailers
did.
outside. I'm not a fan of it, but I understood the concept at the time that they were actively under construction and they were actively expanding that classroom size. Here, I feel like you're putting trailers down on a property with really no long-term plan. So if you don't find a place in 6 years and your leases are renewed or it is renewed at that point, this is more like you're circumnavigating. You're using a temporary thought process for a long-term permanent solution. And
well, we are pursuing a long-term, and I think right now to not allow it is punitive to the charter school because they have a successful enrollment. I don't think they should be penalized by not allowing to have more children. And we're talking about 3 trailers. I don't think in the grand scale of things, there's any environmental impact. There's no traffic impact. It's well-screened property. It's in the back. And I think the town board members are aware that the charter school is very actively seeking a permanent spot for this.
Here's my problem with this. I was on the planning board when this was originally approved. And it was made well known that this was it. There wasn't going to be any more expansion other than what we approved at that time. The way that the parking was queued for the buses was granted around the enrollment of how many children were going to be there. I don't think that this area should have trailers on the property. It's not part of what that corridor represents. And we were very lenient at the time because this was a pre-existing use of a schoolhouse prior. And I don't think that this is the integrity of what this area should be.
I have to disagree with you. There was no cap that the planning board or the town board imposed when we did our special permit or site plan. It was never a cap. There was never any representative from our charter school that said we're going to hold at this number. And there was never any condition placed on the special permit, which was unopposed by anybody. Site plan was unopposed by anybody.
But the
And
fire
I
marshal
know.
issued an occupancy amount in that building, so you know essentially there is a cap, whether it be through means of staffing or students and so forth. Every building has an occupancy load.
There was no zoning cap and there was no building department cap. If there may be a fire marshal plaque inside, I don't know what that number
Yes, I don't want to
is.
speak for the architect, but I think that occupancy cap is around 2 and change, 275 is around the number I believe it is.
Okay.
Because we looked at this as far as issues with the bathrooms, because obviously you're adding more
So how many
students.
students and teachers are in that building now?
Like 130.
So why are we going to trailers? Why can't we continue to use the space in the school for expansion?
Because you can only use,
Reconfigure.
and I can't speak for the architect, but there's a building code requires you to have a certain amount of square feet for every student in a classroom. And then if there's going to be some natural growth to those classrooms, you can't condense it more than what the building department would allow. So the state building code, excuse me. So that's why one of the trailers will be used actually just for administrative purposes. And the other 2 would be used just for classrooms, just based on that natural growth. They need a little bit more space. I mean, in theory, you could try to compact more, but it would be against the New York
It's
State.
just administration. Does it have to be on site or why can't you rent an office space in town?
we had a couple of town board members that came to visit the school. I would love for them to talk about their experience and how we have administrators that are in the hallways because they don't have access to being in an office or having office space. I would love for anybody that was there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Joanne and I visited and toured both campuses. And you're right, it's tight, the way it's set up and with space for classrooms, and the principal actually did sit in the hall. I mean, he had a little spot out in the hall where he was hanging out. I can understand the need for the expansion, but what bothers me, number one, is that you went and put one there already without having permission to do it. And it kind of just rubs me the wrong way when people come in and just bully their way through the town and figure out, I'll do it, I'll worry about it later. So right away, that just makes me not want to go any further, because if you put one without having permission and now you're gonna put two more for a total of three, what else are you gonna do up there that, and say, we'll worry about it later? You're not a good player when you do that in my mind, so I have a little bit of an issue with this.
Or at least the trailer that's there on site should have been, immediately removed, and you should be coming here with a clean slate and not, with you're sitting before us in current violation of town codes. And now you're asking for a permit after the fact.
I can only say we're trying to come into compliance now. The trailer, I don't know how big it is, the size of it, and it's unoccupied. There's no students in it. It's not being occupied by students or staff or faculty. And I would just say portables for any school district is not an uncommon thing. It's not uncommon to see. I myself went to high school here and I had a lot of classes in portables. Didn't have any, it wasn't nice walking across the field to go in the rain to go to class. But that's not the case here. The portables are right in the back. There's going to be no sanitary, no water. So the kids are going to be using the restrooms inside the building. We don't have to do any sewer hookup. We don't have to run any water lines to this. And I understand your fear that if we grant this and it runs the 6th year, you have special conditions that you can put into your permit. If you want it to run every year, that we have to come back and renew it, that's something you can put into a special permit application. Just to make sure that we are being faithful to finding a new location and and I think we've been pretty good at trying to update certain people that we are looking, and that, and we will certainly let you know when a spot has been secured. There is a spot that we would like to, but there's a zoning issue, and we're hoping at some point, when the comprehensive plan is updated, that will be addressed. And there are at least 3 properties that the charter school is actively trying to secure. So if it's your fear that we're gonna keep those buildings there the full 6 years, you can put into a special permit approval that it's only valid for a year, and then we have to come back and update you within. I don't think it's necessary, because I think we're pretty close to finding a place to land. But that's certainly something I understand if you want to put into an approval, if you want to limit the length of it, and that we would have to renew it. Yeah.
So how many total more people are how many more people, what is the capacity? Because the question I'm going up to, Greg, is this current sanitary system that's in place has a capacity limit of imagine there's a calculation
Yes,
formula. So are we
yeah.
exceeding the sanitary?
No, we've designed it enough to handle the occupants. So like I mentioned, the occupants was about 200 and change. We designed it because it's occupants versus students. Your code is written as those for number of students, not number of occupants. We had to design the system with FujiClean to handle, and we oversized as well, because we knew this was a lease. It was in the owner's best interest to oversize the system, because eventually the school would leave and he would have a system in place that you probably want to reutilize for something
Right,
that's
and
more.
it's an IA system.
It is an IA system, so it would be something more intense. I mean, it doesn't have to be restrapped, because we were never going to prepare food. So if the property owner were to do something that was a food use, he would have to intensify the grease trap to handle that flow.
I just want to go on the record and say that we have no desire to be on Sound Ave past the 6 years. After this lease is over, like, we're not going to be there. We feel like we're not welcome there. In terms of just like everything that happened prior to. And so with us trying to purchase next door, whatever, and so we understand the sentiment of the community. And we're definitely making a good faith effort in order to be closer to our campus on Middle Country. And so I'm on record with saying that we're not trying to be there past 6 years.
I would say that, you know, I think you're welcome with open arms. I think you did an amazing job with building and the restoration, and I love the fact that in passing by, I think the property is pristine now. I think people were not comfortable with the expansion of it, but don't feel that you're not welcome there. I think you're very much welcome. You did a great job on the whole property, I think, and it looks wonderful. I'm grateful for what you guys put into it and your investment there. I think people had concerns about you expanding, going outside of there and continuing.
You didn't
That's
see
kind
the
of what
sign
we're
outside
talking
the charter school, it said no charter school.
I get,
That was there, that somebody paid for to
I
put
think
it
that's,
there.
that was.
So that
focused
was
on the
not welcome.
Expansion property.
There was zero opposition to the original site
Correct.
being the charter school.
I wasn't on the board, but I
Both
love driving up and down San Diego. I love what you've done with that property. You've made that property.
Well, that's
beautiful.
property owner that did all of that.
But it's beautiful.
It is.
It wouldn't have been done if they didn't.
Mhm.
So I wouldn't say any of that. I think people have concerns about the expansion process and where it goes, you know, because like right now, it looks like this beautiful historic home that's been like restored, you know, a barn, and now into what, you know, beautiful building.
Well, it was originally a schoolhouse.
Yeah. The restoration is great.
And just to be clear, I mean, if you drive by the school right now today, and we mentioned that one trailer's there, it is fully screened by 20-foot tall, 30-foot tall. The intent is to not, we don't want this to be an eyesore. It's a trailer. We all know it's a trailer. We all know what it looks like. But if you go to that site today, there's a reason why these are strategically put in the back corner. The ADA ramps will be metal. They won't be fully installed into the ground. These things will be leased. They won't be owned. The intent is obviously, it doesn't make sense to dump as much money into this if it's not a permanent solution. Someone had mentioned it seems permanent, but the reality is we're paying lease, we're gonna be leasing these items to once remove these things. And the reason why they're positioned in a place that is in the back right corner is because that's the least impactful for what the school actually had helped spend to repurpose the school. So once these trailers are gone, they would be replanted as grass and it just remain as it was prior to that. So these are, if you were to drive today, you wouldn't even see these trailers for. And once again, we're not talking about the trailers are there, and it might not be right that they're there, but the reality is we've strategically put this close enough for the students that have, you know, that need the ADA support, but the ramps, but also as you're driving down Sound Ave, you wouldn't see it from the road.
We will see the additional buses, the additional cars.
Well, I don't want to speak for the school, but I don't think any of the students drive to
None of
school.
our students
And I think it was part of the special permit that they would.
Well, if you're
Right.
expanding, aren't you going to have to expand some of the faculty?
Not very many. We were able to utilize the staff members that we have, so we would have maybe like 5 FTE increase. So not very many staff members, and not very many additional buses as well, because the buses that we're using, because we actually pay for the buses because it's outside of the 15.2 mile radius, and those buses are not packed. There would be probably a couple of additional Riverhead Central School District buses, but not anything that would impact traffic a great deal.
Greg, could there be what we refer to in some projects as a decommissioning plan, that these would be required as per the special permit to be removed from the property?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, because it's a special permit, you can absolutely put those conditions on that at such time that the school vacates the property and the trailers are removed. So, yeah.
And that's
So
not-
I
that's
do
not-
know you are working very hard at finding other property, and I do know you really don't want to be there because it doesn't fit the needs for what you have up there. But I will also say that in touring the property, I was very impressed. Really was. Just the kids, the students, the setup, and the space that you're using. I think it's well used. You've got all that you can use right now, and I understand the need for expansion. Again, it just bothers me that you went ahead and put one up there, and I'm just getting tired of people doing that in this town and think, well, I'll pay for it later. It's the cost of doing business. And that attitude just, it worries me that what else is gonna happen down the road.
So
That's my only
again,
concern.
want to go on record as apologizing for that. Because that falls on me. I'm the superintendent of the school. And so regardless of whatever feedback I was given in terms of, what may occur, what may not occur, I apologize to the board. Again, that falls on me. And so moving forward, I'm on record as saying that whatever you guys allow us to use that space will be that. We will not come back to you for anything additional. We feel like this is the best way to move us forward in terms of accommodating our student growth for the next 6 years.
Well, your lower level students, your lower grades are expanding. So
So we're putting a cap on,
but what I'm saying is,
Yeah.
that's part of the reason you need
Yes.
this, because the grades coming up are larger than
yes,
when you originally started. So, and that's a good thing. I mean, that shows you're doing a good job in enrollment and people like what they have there. But that's just my concern. That,
If it's administration space, the question wasn't answered is why does the administration space need to be on site? Why can't you rent an office downtown and run administration?
So-
Many school districts do that off-site administration.
There's also
we're
a
talking-
house on the
we're-
property. Can you use that?
That's, I believe that's the landlord's.
yeah.
I don't think we have permission. I mean, but that's something, I think that is in use by the landlord.
But that's another thing that will fall under the special variance use. I think when we came with a plan to develop the back space, it was not included in the original schoolhouse usage, and so we were deterred from developing that house into space.
Is the landlord aware that you want to put these,
Yes,
and he's fine with that?
yes.
Oh, so-
Yeah, he signed the owner's
Yeah.
endorsement for the special permit application.
So when we talk about administration, we're talking about school administrators. So you're asking for us to put a school principal in an offsite when he has to run the campus. So like the administration space that we're talking about, it's not like an aide or something like that, or like
would it be like a
administrative
break
assistant.
room for the faculty?
It's like a
type of thing?
break room for the faculty, and then also for like the school leader, the dean, the college counselor, and people of that nature to have the space to be able to like have conversations with kids. So it's not the type of admin space that you're thinking.
And to convert the house into an office, you'd have to go back to the health department, you'd have to upsize the system. It's not designed to be an office, outside of the leases and stuff, just from a engineering perspective. I mean, it'd be a little bit of work to convert that into office space.
But maybe, just as a thought, if you made an arrangement with the landlord and then you filed building permits, if you're gonna, take over that house and you were gonna restore that house and upgrade that, and then this was something where you needed portable units for a year, and you were actively, under construction to utilize the entire site, I would be more amicable to, seeing a future plan. I just have concern sitting here and going, property is expensive. And so I just don't want to be looking at trailers for 6 years and then eventually I get it.
Understood, but in doing so, if we put the investment into that back space, given the fact that we're leaving that space and we have no intentions of being there moving forward, would that be the best usage of funds in order to
It'll be you to
redevelop that space?
calculate how much 3 trailers are gonna cost you over 6 years and what that fee is gonna be. And maybe that same amount of money can be invested into the house on site. That's a business question for you. The answer.
So I have a question for you. So what's the lease term right now on the trailers? What are you gonna do? You're gonna go for 6 years?
No, we'd actually go yearly on the lease.
Yeah, the
With
reason why I ask is, hypothetically, if you found property next year, right, you would start building.
Of course,
And you might be out of this in 4 years.
correct.
All right, that's one question. I get that. I did go over this with Mr. Bergman the other day. My concern was the bus traffic. Now, you said 2 buses.
2, 3.
Okay, that's 2 or 3.
No, he always said 2 or 3.
Oh, no,
that was
I
the
mean,
thing.
no, I mean, this is the first time,
Mhm.
that we're having
Yeah.
this conversation.
Yeah.
And currently you have how many buses? coming in and out.
4.
So, and I believe we're over the huge hurdle, which was you were gonna purchase other land and really expand, and I know that's what people were against, and you relented on that, and you're willing to move, which I think is, great. That's really it. My concern was the traffic, and knowing that you're gonna lease the trailers year to year, and I know you are actively looking, because I've sat with the planning department and also looked at where you're looking. So, and I'd be happy to support if it is a change of zone, where you're going, and if it works, to support that change of zone, so it's in an area that's more beneficial to you and beneficial to the community.
Right. So again, Aaron, back to what I said earlier, apologizing for the initial trailer being there. We also have to think about kids, right? And that should be the focal point of any conversation with regards to expansion. And so right now, we would have 40 to 50 kids that would be displaced if we didn't have these trailers to be able to put them in for next year. And so I realize everything that we're talking about, but I want to leave you guys with the understanding of putting the focal point on students.
And I also
understand that,
agree-
but you enrolled them with the expectations.
They were.
That's your business. You knew your capacity, so you should never have enrolled anybody beyond your capacity. That can't be put on us. I
The
mean, you
kids
can
that
have.
came up, you can't tell them they can't, and when I say come up, they started in first grade. You can't, when they start hitting 9th and 10th grade, say you gotta go to a different school. We don't
This was
have. room
planned
for
9
you.
years ago.
Exactly.
I mean, this was,
Well, it
you
was-
knew your capacity, so you must say, the kids are staying, they're staying with us, they're not leaving, where will I be in 9 years from now? Each year, as you grow, and what was the plan back then? You can't put the guilt on us, like, you're gonna displace kids, that's an unfair statement. This was part of a long-term plan. Each year, you're watching your students grow, means you're doing a great job. So what was the plan 6 years
The
ago?
plan was that we were going to acquire the adjacent property, and that fell through unexpectedly.
That property just became available a year or so ago.
Yes, after we had already been in contract with them, and the subdivision plan was not filed, and he still hasn't finished out his subdivision. That property, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Bergman, is not a separate lot at this point. It's gotta have, the map is not filed, the planning board did not file the final subdivision map on it. So that was one of the issues when the charter school was in contract with that particular property owner. There was a due diligence in there that the property owner had to have things finalized, and it just didn't happen. And we were devastated by that, because that is the property that really should be
That's the
the
most
full
logical,
point. It is.
absolutely.
So I believe the charter school is in negotiations again, but again, the map is still not filed. And we can't make the property owner finish it. We can only maybe try to go back into contract again. Again, there's a zoning issue that I think some of you are aware of. But that was the plan. That was the plan, to build that, and that school
That's
would have been
massive,
built
right?
by now. And that's where they would have been. So I'm just asking, I could see that most of you are upset about this. But I think also you have to look at it. We're trying really hard to find a new place. And we're just asking to give us a temporary place for these kids to go to classroom. We're looking for a new place to go. We're committed to it. We're not gonna stay here. And if you really think that we're gonna go past the 6 years, or the 6 years is the issue, you're talking 3 buildings that are fully screened. No one driving on Sound Avenue is gonna see it as they're driving up and down. As far as bus traffic, you're talking 7 buses during a non-peak time on Sound Avenue. What time does school finish, Mr. Ankrum?
2:30.
2:30?
Yeah.
You're talking 2:30, and what time does school start? The buses?
7.
Okay, I don't think you're gonna see cars lined up on Sound Avenue for 7 buses at 7:30 in the morning and 3:15 in the afternoon. So if your biggest issues are traffic and view shed, I really don't think, I've lived here my whole life, I've never seen traffic on Sound Avenue at 7:15 in the morning.
How many buses are going up on 25? What's the comparison?
Ooh.
Enrollment?
Probably about 13 to 15.
Yeah. 'Cause I sit there every morning on that, so that's.
Yes.
You and me
that-
both.
that-
That's it.
I sit there as well.
So I just want to be clear on something. We actually met with the planning department in December. When we put this plan together, it was because of the other application that we were going to go into in March. And I believe, Tim, you were there, Greg, you were there. Oh, no, you were on family leave. But when we had spoke and you had asked this question, this was the transition plan to the next parcel adjacent to us. So we were going in with an application for this, and we were going to move into the parcel. To your point, the intent was to, take the 2 years, the average permit process of 1 to 2 years to get that approved, and then 2 to 3 years to construct that big piece, because it was a much bigger piece, which would be that 4 to 5 year threshold for us to transition over. Now, obviously, we know what happened with the application adjacent to us, but let's not lose sight that part of the conversation in December was, this is what we want to do in the meantime while we move to the parcel adjacent. Now, obviously, the plan has changed, and now we're looking at different parcels, but that was always the reason why Ray was looking at the numbers and the amount of kids that were coming up. In December, we looked at this, we met with the planning department, we discussed this as a temporary action plan for the adjacent parcel, and that's how we derived to these numbers that Ray has mentioned, that displacement of numbers. It was derived based on hypotheticals that we had discussed back in December, and now obviously we're approaching the summertime, and to Ray's point, there's students that they have to figure out what they're going to do with, because the end result has obviously pivoted because of what has happened, but the end result still is the same, as we intend to leave this parcel to go somewhere else. Now, it's not next door, but it's going to be somewhere else. So it is still a transition plan. It just obviously from December to now, it's changed a bit. So I just want to bring that back, because I know we had met back in early December.
Yeah, so, and you have no interest now in the property to the west?
No.
Okay, so that's really, that's a really good thing. I agree with the supervisor. I mean, we do have people who just go and do things without notifying the town, and that is an issue. You apologize for that, and you're doubling the site fees. And I did go through the traffic, and I understand it. I know you're looking for more property. I'm not gonna stand in your way. I'm gonna support what you're doing. And I drive by there a lot, and I didn't even know there was a trailer there, so. And I understand you're gonna screen it all, so, don't have an issue.
I'm just going to say, I met with Mr. Bergman and he went over the plan with me. And one of the concerns I had was also to make sure that you can't build up on top of those trailers, right?
No.
There's no way to
No.
do that. Just that's one of the things I'm concerned about. You also started to mention, first of all, sir, you do have an amazing school.
Thank you.
And the students were wonderful. I'm actually going Friday.
Yeah,
I'm
I'll be
going to
there.
be on career,
Yeah.
for Career Day. I'm going to be speaking for a few minutes there.
Thank you.
I'm very happy to address the students. I also, you started mentioning something, and I wanted to go back to, you said you're going to, I thought I heard you starting to say you're going to put a cap on the grammar school enrollment? Was that something?
So this.
Right now,
so-
because of this issue with who's
because of-
advancing,
yeah.
moving up?
Absolutely. So to give you guys like a case in point, we usually take in about 4 classes of kindergartners, which is about 25 kids per grade. This year we capped it at 3 classes because we're thinking strategically about the upward growth. And what used to occur is that when kids got to a certain grade, when they got to like 8th grade or whatever, they would like go back, some of them would go back to their local high schools or whatever. And so we could account for that. So if we were looking at our data from the past, it would be like, oh, this kid's going here, they're going back here or whatever. But because we're doing so well, we're having our first graduating class this year, and we have 8 kids that got into R1 universities with our senior class. Like, these kids aren't leaving anymore. And so it's an anomaly in the data, but it's something that we have to account for. So it's a good problem to have for the most part until you have to meet with the town board and you have to explain it. But our kids are no longer
Even
leaving.
with the town board is nice. We put the concerns out there.
But that's the issue that we're having. Like, our kids are no longer leaving and going back to district because the product that we're offering is of competitive nature to the parents.
There is one complaint, other than everything you've heard about anything, is the bell between classes.
Okay,
is really, really loud and the residents can hear it.
yeah,
I've heard that from more than one. It'd be nice if you could just tone that down.
we will definitely do that. Yeah, I'll take care of that as soon as I walk out.
So are you guys putting a cap on the
Yes.
enrollment for grammar school?
So for grammar school, we took in 80 kids this year as opposed to taking in 100 plus.
Okay.
And
That was your
so,
lottery, right?
yeah,
You
that
might
was,
have read in the paper that the lottery that the charter school had.
yeah. And so, yeah, those are some of the thinking. Until we can get a permanent site and we know exactly what we're gonna be able to do, we're definitely on limited enrollment.
How many people applied for the lottery?
So we had to turn away upwards of 50 families. We took in 80 and had to turn away about 50 families. And a lot of the families that we had to turn away was students from other districts, right? Because like we have in our charter that we give preference to Riverhead. And so because of the amount of families from Riverhead that apply for our school, we couldn't really take in students from other districts to kind of balance that out. So,
And you're comfortable with, and I think it may not be a bad idea, just to go year to year so that the board
Yeah,
can be
I agree.
updated, you know, and
agree.
because you're on a year lease with your, you know, your trailer company, and then this way, where, you know, the board and everybody knows, the community knows what's going on.
Year to year with some kind of decommissioning plan.
Yeah.
So, and one of the criteria for the special permit, I think it's in 301-312, is that the property size is of reasonable, it's basically able to facilitate like existing operations and future expansion. So this may be the opportunity to say, you know, whereas the first time when we came in for the conversion of the existing schoolhouse, there was no cap, it was just we're converting the
Right.
schoolhouse. You know, like this may be an opportunity, now short of, again, I'm not saying constructing an addition to the building, but, you know, maybe this would be the opportunity to, you know, set a cap on.
Right.
You know, this is what you're gonna have for this
This is
site.
the last bite of
It's
the apple for this property.
It's not, you know, the site is probably limited in terms of what they'd be able to facilitate in terms of parking, sanitary, that sort of thing. So this might be the opportunity for that. if
Then
it's-
you are in fact putting a new field here. Play area?
Oh,
Yeah,
that-
it's-
well, this one's there. Are you
it's already
talking-
there.
Oh, this
It's already
one's-
there.
Yeah, there's a couple of soccer
Part
nets out
of
there,
the
too.
permit was
I
that we had
thought
to
it went this
identify.
way though. I
No.
thought what was there went east to west, not north to south.
Yeah, right now the soccer nets are set up east to west.
Okay,
Again, it's really not formalized, it's sort of just
A field.
an
Gotcha.
open field, so.
Yeah.
And that road in the back already does exist?
Yes.
Yes.
Correct. Correct, that road exists, and a majority of the gravel parking areas that are behind there do exist and existed at the time when we came in 2021.
And you're able to live with the cap. This is it, right?
yeah,
This is it until you move and you find a new location.
I don't, like I said, it's not news that we're looking for a place that can accommodate, better accommodate. This is
Agreed.
not
Understood.
appropriate for the amount of students that we would like to have on site, and we're trying. I can say we're trying. We've got different people working on different places, and
Yeah, I'm
Like-
aware of that.
you know.
For the last 3 months, following where you're looking and stuff like that.
Am I
so-
correct that subdivision's not finalized?
The pond one in Calverton,
Yeah, it's not.
it's not finalized.
Alright.
You may need a lottery for the kids that can stay in the school, past grammar school, if you keep expanding and you don't have the ability.
I think we're gonna find someplace soon. I feel that we're close to, very close, I think. If, there are two promising properties, two promising places, so I think we're very close. I'm hoping
Hope so.
if this is granted, and then we go through planning board, and that's granted, you won't see us in a year for, I'm hoping, that's our hope.
So, and I don't want you to, I'm not asking you to disclose where you're going, but would it be, just so I understand the length of time these trails would be here, is it a are you looking at pre-existing buildings, or are you looking at a lot of land and it's still going to take you 2 to 3 years to build the school that you want?
the latter. I don't, if you know of any pre-existing buildings that we, let me know.
But even if you buy land, you're still gonna be having these trailers sitting there for 6 years. It's gonna take a period of time to build it.
Possibly, I can't disclose, but maybe, but I'm hoping not.
Or on your new land, you put trailers in while you're building, depending on the size of the property. I mean, you have options.
I lived in a trailer when my house was being built, so.
Okay.
I just want to go back to the property owner real quick and make sure that he's also aware that there might be buses going behind the building in front of
He
the
is, I spoke,
residents.
spoke to Mr. Reeve when Mr. Bergman got together with me and he said this is something that they would like to see. I spoke to him about it and I took a picture of what Mr. Bergman drew and I sent it to him and he told me that he was fine with that.
Greg, what does the fire marshal say in reviewing this? You got room to get a ladder truck fully around the building to drive around and stuff?
It wouldn't have to be an aerial apparatus road. Basically, on the west side of the building, it's gotta be 20 feet wide. They can extend it, the maximum length would be 150 feet. I did scale it out with Fire Marshal Smith.
Oh, that's the picture you showed me,
Yeah, so
right?
if they
Yep.
do provide it, basically along the west side here,
Yep.
it will get them, it will meet the minimum the maximum length of the roadway. And they can access, this would be this would be considered an access point, that's within 150 feet, and this will be within 150 feet. So Fire Marshal Smith was satisfied with that, that it would meet the emergency access criteria in Chapter 5 of the New York State Fire Code.
Right, that, you were right.
Any other questions or concerns or anything we want to address? I mean, we do it, this is a special permit, so the next step would be to schedule a public hearing on the application. If the board's amenable, I can find the next available date and get that set up.
I'm fine with that.
All right, yeah, I'm fine with that.
But is the application going to say 1 year?
I mean, that's something the board needs to, we need to come to a consensus on. I mean, the reality of it is, from a strictly impact point of view, and I'm not getting into the charter school student, just from a land use perspective and potential impacts, whether they were there for 1 year or they were there for 6 years, the impacts would be negligible.
What's the lease agreement with the trailers?
Year to year, right?
It's gonna be year to year
Year to year.
with Casone trailers. It's a prefab building.
I just want to say, I love what you're doing. I really do. I support the charter school. I appreciate that we were given the opportunity to come and, see your facilities and meet the children, and you've got a wonderful, wonderful school there. So whatever happens with this, it's not about that we don't want the kids there, because they deserve an opportunity, and you're giving them a very good opportunity. So I say we go to a public hearing. Would be my,
I agree with her sentiments. I think you're doing a great job. My kids grew up and they have friends that went to the charter school and all spoke very highly of it. Programming there, they were proud, and I knew exactly what you're saying, and that they needed to stay there for a length of time. I just, need you to find a new piece of land really quick, so we
I
can move on.
understand.
I think they share that concern. One thing I have to tell you, I really like in the high school on Sound Avenue, the map of the United States with the push pins in it,
yes.
where the kids are going to college. Where they applied to was a different color pin than where they got accepted to, and the number of pins that were in there for your graduating class is pretty impressive.
Thank you.
So that you should be
How big is
congratulated.
your class? I'm just.
13,
Okay.
And I bet there's 13 pins in that.
about $7 million in scholarship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it's pretty
fantastic.
impressive.
And the kids were so respectful, such
Kids love it
nice
there.
kids.
It's a different atmosphere than the public school system, mainly because it's smaller. I mean, there's less, and for some kids, and some of the students told us that. One girl was saying she went to William Floyd High School, and when the bell rang, she just melted. She hated going out in the hall. It was too noisy, too busy, and this is more personalized education for her. And she said she's thriving there, and she wasn't thriving at her home district. So, they're good stories coming out.
Thank
Okay,
All right.
put it down for a public hearing.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Concerns we talked about.
See if
If the board, you should visit the Rotary Garden Festival over at Tanger. It's until Mother's Day. We have shrubs, perennials. We have the biggest selection that we've ever had in all the years that I've been a Rotarian.
You're renting
Trees.
advertising space right now?
Yeah, trees and orchids are coming in today and tomorrow, and we're open until Mother's Day.
You forgot the best part. Brymere pies
Yeah,
are
oh,
there.
yes. Oh, you already went. Okay. So please come on down if you have to buy that special someone, a flower, a plant, a shrub. They got trees, they have everything that
Kim,
you
it's
can.
open Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Yes,
Okay, and from?
9 to 6.
9 to 6, okay.
Come on down.
And it benefits,
Operation International and
Northwell Health? or
Northwell Health.
Peconic Bay, yes. It's a good cause.
Yes.
The Brymere cream pies are only $30.
The creams are only there in the morning. So don't wait till the afternoon, the creams will be gone. Right?
They're the best.
Anything else
They're
we
my
should know?
Okay, just a couple quick notes here, because that's all we have for open session. Just a reminder that Saturday, May 11th, 8:30 in the morning, the Riverhead Police Athletic League has the Bike Safety Rodeo up at Stotsky Park. Its registration starts at 8:30 and it gets underway at about 9. Kids in grades K through 6 who can ride on two wheels are invited to participate. They have new bikes to give away and lots of prizes, so go on down. Rain date is Saturday, May 18th. And a reminder for the beach stickers to get up to the recreation department. Again, as the weather's getting nice, people are going to the beaches, and we don't want to start hammering everybody with tickets, but it will happen if you don't have your sticker. They're very easy to get between here and online, so. And most importantly, Sunday is Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there, and as I mentioned at our board meeting, moms are not just the biological moms, but their aunts, their grandmothers, their sisters. They're anybody that's, any female that's been part of raising a child. And that's it. Sometimes they say it takes a village. Well, it takes a village of mothers sometimes to raise children. So happy Mom's Day and enjoy the weekend. And we have 3 matters to go into executive session. Oh, happy Mother's Day, Joe and Denise.
Thank you.
We have 3 items for executive session. We have matters surrounding possible change in status of employee with STRIPLIN-TIO. We have matters surrounding possible change in status of employees PRUDENTI and Howard. And we have matters surrounding possible license agreement for food concessions with Waskey and Howard. If I could have a motion to close the open session and go into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. All opposed? Thank you. Okay, we are closed and we are going into executive session. Everybody have a great weekend. Thank you.